All right, welcome everyone to the recording of our Your Way workshop for what month is it? It is December. This is Curating Your Photos month, and we are just closing up our breakout rooms. We'll have folks starting to trickle back in here, and then a big flush of all of our participants. I want to thank you for watching this replay. I will review all the questions that we discussed, and then we're going to be asking our participants for their takeaways and lessons learned. I hope you are able to join us next time, though. We'll be doing this again each month in 2021, and those registration dates will be going up very soon. All right, a couple more seconds here, and everyone will be joining us. Welcome back, Patricia. All right. Hello, hello. Okay, we are officially recording now, so just you're aware of that. This is the breakout takeaway session. So we just went through 4 awesome questions to really help you think about photos in different ways and not just talk about the basics of photos and scrapbooking, but photos in your home, photo displays, holiday related photos, how you manage big long-term photo projects, and then how you want to maybe get your photo library ready for 2021. So tell me everything you guys talked about. What are your top takeaways?
My biggest takeaway is I need to organize my Google Photos.
Okay, that's a very specific one. That's awesome.
Yes, because I was looking for a picture for Terry tonight, and it took me over a half an hour to find it. I knew I had it, but it had been scanned in and wasn't in the proper sequencing. And so I had to go back through. So I need to label and do a better job on organizing my photos.
Okay, we will help you with that for sure.
Okay, that's a deal.
All right, what else?
I realized that I have really great photos sitting in storage waiting to be scrapbooked rather than being out in my home.
And how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like no one else is enjoying those photos, and that I want it. It was funny that the question came up because I said in the group that I actually was thinking on that in the last couple of weeks. Took a great snapshot of my granddaughter playing in leaves last month, and I printed it out and I went to put it in that storage binder, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to print another one and put it in a frame upstairs, and I need to do more of that.
Yeah. And sometimes I think I've been in a place where, like, well, I'm going to scrapbook that, so I can't print it and put it somewhere else. But that's a silly mental game we play with ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was too. And so I actually had the aha moment a little bit ago. So this just reinforced it.
Nice. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. What else? Go ahead, Alyssa.
I created a bunch of gallery walls in my hallways this year, and it really brings me joy now to see some of those favorite photos and those memories, especially like memories of travel, since we're not traveling right now. And so I'm really glad I did it, and I'm excited about like switching certain ones of them out. And then the other thing I realized is I'm really drawn to like annual projects. So I have my ornament albums, and which I love. They're my favorite thing ever. And so I set them up, and then each year I just I get my daughters an ornament and I write them a note, and then I just document our holiday, and it's like super quick and easy and done. And I have a Halloween album that's very similar, and I just like those gathered through the years contained projects.
Mm-hmm. I know, Kim, you have a Thanksgiving type one like that, right?
So our Thanksgiving one, and that's also interesting because we had a COVID Thanksgiving, is we do like a big group picture of everyone who's at Thanksgiving on one side, and then the other side, everyone writes what they're grateful for. And there's a lot of like, family and friends or whatever, but I always try to encourage people to do something that's like specific to this year, right? So my dad had a knee replacement surgery. So like my mom's like, thankful he can walk without pain, right? And my kids are like, thankful we have we got chickens. Or so it's like it kind of gives you a snapshot of that year. But I agree, Alyssa. I also have a Halloween album. Mine is not as organized as yours, but I do like. And then my kids have a birthday album too. I like to see like the passage of time for those things, I think.
Mm-hmm. Those are fun. Yeah. Awesome.
I will say photo related, Edie made a very interesting observation because in our group, we all had different photo management systems and it was very much dictated by the technology that we used.
Oh, you mean like even the device you have to take the photos?
Yes. Yes. To take your photos or like the computer or the laptop or whatever you were using really dictated like how we did it. And I guess I've never like put that all together, but yeah, it really does.
Sure. Well, I think that's so much why in Photo Crush we try to be completely agnostic to operating system platform because everyone's going to have like a unique combination of things. Before I've had an Android phone for a long time, but before this computer, I had a Mac. So I had an Android and a Mac, and that's, a unique scenario and it's by itself. So, all right. What else?
I was given a really good tip by somebody. I was saying so for the last question, I really want to streamline all the different locations where I have photos, like random old laptops. And I said I had a sort of a moment of inspiration and motivation to do it a few weeks back and found I no longer have a charging cord for this laptop. And somebody suggested go to Goodwill and find an old cable there. So I thought
there you go.
Oh.
That's a great plan.
So
I know I've donated things like that to Goodwill a lot over the years. So
I have two kind of holiday tradition ideas. One of the projects that I do is, the ornaments you can get to put your family photo in, and you get like the year on them or whatever you buy the year on them. I have one of those in like a wreath shape that I've hot glued them on there so that you see the progression. And I was saying that I'm so big that the outside wreath needed an inner wreath. So now we're like on the inner circle because I think it's about 20 years of family photos. So
that's really cool.
And then there's some years where there's two because we somehow had two pictures. So one is the family and one is the dog or the two kids or something. So that was fun. And my daughter was excited to pick out the new frame this year.
Yes, I love stuff like that. That's cool.
And then another, it was kind of on the gift side, topic that came up is I didn't make it, but my sister made a recipe book for all of my sisters and mom and sisters-in-law for the Christmas cookies that we always bake each year. We all get together and do it. And so I had pictures from doing it, and it was mostly like of the cookies, but it was also like of my mom's hands, making some of the, or, just kind of some background shots of always being at mom's house. So it's a cool memory, but it was also a great tool. Like most people use them every year.
That's special. Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Go ahead, Judy.
Reminds me of something that Amy brought up. That's a tradition that she does with her family. She makes her mom and her sister a layout every year for Christmas, something that they display then on the wall. And then the following year, they just switch out the new one and then they can put the old one in an album and then be building up an album over the years and then have something new. So I just really appreciated that idea.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. I did 2 pages for my granddaughter. She had a baby last year, and so I did a page that had mommy and me, and it had various stages of her and the baby. And then I did one with daddy and me, and I sent those to her for Christmas.
That's awesome. One year I did a digital layout that I printed and had framed and sent to my mom. And it was literally like a digital quick page. Do they still make those? Like it was pre-done. All I had to do was like stick the photo in and then I sent it off to Persnickety and that was it. And it was a nice gift. Put it in one of the shadow box frames and she still has it. So
yeah, this was similar to that, only I found it at my local scrapbook store. So all I had to do was print the pictures and put them in there.
Nice. Perfect.
On
What
the topic
else?
of displaying
Mhm.
in your home, the group I was in on that, we were talking, and one of the ideas that I think I want to try that sounded really nice was one of the digital frames that you could actually take different cards and maybe make one for the season and make one for Christmas. I was thinking about photos of my children as they grew up each Christmas and displaying it at Christmas. Then you could change it out for the different holidays throughout the year. And we
That's
were
cool.
talking how that would be pretty, easy to do, where you just pop the little card in and out to change it.
Yeah. Anything you can do to make it easy on yourself to change something, whether it's scrapbooking related or not, I think is something we can all agree tends to help. So
We
Absolutely.
thought it'd be more likely to get done.
yes.
And
It's
we
better
were
to
talking.
do work up front for sure.
We were talking about digital frames where now you can have an account set up and you can email the photos to it. And I had first looked into it as a gift, thinking like, we can't see my mom during COVID times, but like 6 months ago, I should have got her a frame that my siblings could email her photos right to it and she'd be
Mhm.
surprised. And then as we talked about it, I'm like, well, I could use that for that same reason. That would be way easier than, oh, I got to get these on there. And, it
Yeah.
sounds so not complicated, but it always turns complicated versus if you could just send it to this link and all of a sudden they show up. I'm like, ooh, I have to think about that one yet.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to do it like to a TV. Because I know you can do it, but I think that'd be a fun way to do it, especially if I could send it to my parents' TV.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
I had a question, Michelle. You said when we were just about to leave that you had photos on your Echo show and that you were planning to send shows to the grandparents and and put pictures on then. So can you share from like one show to another? Did you use is there an app? How did you make that work?
So what I do is I created both of them generic Amazon accounts that I just log in and out of. And
Mhm.
so I play mine on ours. And then if it's a picture like of my nieces, my mom would want that, but like my mother-in-law wouldn't necessarily want that. So then I just toggle through on the app and then I put them in there and then they'll show up on the shows that I want them on there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If your family had a real, like my mom and my mother-in-law don't shop online.
Right. Yeah, mine
If
too.
they had
Obviously.
if they had real Amazon accounts, they would just use the app, the Amazon photo app. If they don't use the Amazon photo app, you could use it for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's cool.
My brain is churning now.
On the Amazon photo app. Now I'm so curious. We're all going to be asking these questions. So do you just load that to their app and they see that in their Amazon photos?
Yeah, they don't know that Amazon photos exist. They have their show like in the living room, and like my show is, this is kind of weird, but mine is like right there. And so every 3 minutes it just cycles through a new picture. We've got a few of them around the house. And so then the grandparents just have one too. And they're not on the same photo. Like if I looked at that one and then I went and looked at a different one, they're on different photos.
Okay.
They just run through, and it doesn't cycle through. You don't have to have it cycle through all of your photos. You could make a specific album. Let's say you wanted to do that Christmas album and a Halloween album. You could just tell your show, like, I want you only to play photos from this album. And then you could change that.
So where did you get the frame, and what's the name of the frame that you send this to?
It's just the Amazon show, because like digital photo frames are like $150 or $180.
Yeah,
the Amazon shows were on half off for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that sort of stuff. So then they're like $50.
Yeah, if
and
you're
it
not
does-
familiar with the terminology, she means the Echo, the Alexa, the one with the screen.
Yeah, the show. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we just got the Google Nest hubs. So I'm for Black Friday as well. And they're like $50 as well. And so it would be, there's the Amazon environment and then there's the Google environment, but essentially it should work pretty much the same.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you can.
Nixplay. I like them better. Nixplay, you can have albums and multiple frames. So your family can have one, your grandparents, and literally from your phone, you add them to the different albums. It is a little more expensive though. There were like 100 each for the Nixplay photo frames.
Okay. Can you include a link to that in the chat box for us, Crystal? Or at least just the name of it?
I looked on Amazon. I don't know like what the models and options are, but there was the Amazon show. So that maybe gives people an idea of what they're looking at. My in-laws had one that was similar to like Amy had said, where we just email photos to them and they just show up.
Yeah.
They can like them or whatever.
I mean, everything's so powerful and fancy these days.
And then I think it's interesting to know like the workarounds. Like Michelle like kind of created this like kind of dummy Amazon account kind of to be the home for the photos, right? So think outside the box, I guess, to how you can accomplish that. Because there certainly seems like there's a lot of options.
Oh yeah. I mean, I do that. I do the equivalent of that all the time on my phone with my daughter's email account because she can only receive emails from the school district accounts. And so I log into her account and I send herself an email like from herself to with whatever information I need her to have in her account. So there's lots of workarounds to pretend you're somebody else, and in a friendly way. to get it done.
Scary.
We're not advocating identity theft.
No.
Catfishing here. For the TV, for getting it to a TV, I think if you use an Amazon Fire Stick, then they can see their Amazon photos on their TV. Like you could put photos.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, for an Amazon Fire Stick, you can have it linked to, again, like same thing, to one specific album. And so then it'll use that as a screensaver.
That's cool. I have a Fire Stick.
I use SmugMug, which is an online gallery. And I use it for multiple reasons and ways. And there's an app for the Fire Stick. So, instead of having a slide projector to show your vacation films, I had my kids, when they were in Spain, upload their pictures to a folder that I had created in SmugMug, and they had the apps on their phone. And every time they were on Wi-Fi, I said, upload your pictures, open the app and it will automatically upload. And that way, God forbid, if they like dropped their phone or it got stolen, at least we'd have some pictures. And then the upside of that was when the grandparents came, after they were back, we could sit and look at the pictures on the, the giant 60-inch TV in the living room instead of like passing a phone around. So that's worked really well.
We've come a long way since old-fashioned slide projectors, right?
For sure.
I have one of those too.
But they're fun.
I had to buy a viewer box in order to view some old slides that my nephew had sent that he had in his basement when my mom passed away and his dad passed away. And I had to buy one of those little viewer boxes because I didn't have anything to view them on. Then I took a picture of the ones that I wanted to keep. I took a picture off of that viewer box with my phone. It worked.
Yeah.
All right. So many good ideas. Final thoughts? Oh, Amy, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what's a good size for a digital frame nowadays? Like, when you talk about TVs, that's a whole nother level, but like what, I don't know. I guess I could search it, obviously, but I was just curious.
Like what size of image?
No, I mean, like, are they 8x10s or are they like, like the general?
I think ours is 5x7.
I think the one I have is 5x7.
But the one Sue is holding is bigger than that.
So this is a Nixplay frame. It's my husband's I'm working on for him. And this is like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So
Wow.
Okay. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
it's a good size. I mean, he has a really big office when he actually could go to an office. And that's why it's here sitting in my office. And you can see it across the room. So,
Okay.
and I mean, they come in different sizes, but they're generally like about this size, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're always slightly weird sizes. So instead of like 5 by 7, they're like 4 7/78 by. I mean, they're always just slightly weird configuration. But Amazon has 2 sizes, so you have to just decide what your size and budget and go from there.
All right. Okay, last call for takeaways. This has been so awesome. So many fun ideas.
Jennifer?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I had one thing because I was telling in the last group, Persnickety Prints had on their stories last night that if you have an iPhone with the latest update, they're saving your photos as a new type of file. And so you have to manually go in and switch it back to JPEG unless you want every one of your photos now in this new format.
Right.
So I don't know if anyone else has heard about that or not.
Good public service announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done that
Thank you.
before.
PIC is the new format.
Oh, that's the format that Google was using for a while, and I mean they're still using it. Yeah, your iPhone photos default to that when you get the phone out of the box too. It'll do that.
I can't
then you
remember
just
how to
change it.
change it back. Does anybody know?
Yeah, in the phone, in the settings for the camera, you can change it. Yeah.
It's under camera, not photos, which is why it's always confusing because
Yeah.
you'd think it'd be under photos, but it's actually under the camera.
Right.
So camera.
And then choose optimal record or something it's called.
It's most compatible.
Most compatible.
Yeah.
I
And
looked for it for a long time before I realized that it was under camera and not
Under camera, capture, formats.
Yeah.
Jennifer, put this in the.
I'm spotlighting it. Here we go.
You're given high efficiency or most compatible. Which do you want?
Yeah. So
Most
probably
compatible.
what most compatible. And the high efficiency is a better, newer format, but until every application is using it,
right,
it's not really helpful.
Okay,
correct.
I just
Yeah,
changed
it's like the format that it'll change it to
HEIC.
from the-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most photo programs, like even Lightroom, they don't recognize those photos.
I think it does now.
It will.
Does it
The
now?
latest version,
Okay.
it does. Sometime in the last year or so, it switched. But yeah.
And then when you export them, it exports it as a JPEG.
Yeah. So if you're using Lightroom, it's okay now. But again, you try to import it into whatever random app you use, or I mean, until all of them are using it across the board, it's probably not a great idea.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that isn't like a new thing, because I know I've had to do that on my iPhones in the past.
It's been on the iPhone for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But it's this
probably
update that kind of
This
forced
update
you to use it?
To Persnickety, she said it was an update from Persnickety's side.
Okay.
So.
They mentioned it on their thing, and then she did a video and has a post on their account on how to switch it over. I kind of just briefly glanced at it, but the way people were talking, it made it sound like it was something new. So I don't know, because I never knew it was doing that all along. So
it may just be that they got confused. Plus, every time there's a big major update, it'll sometimes reset itself back. Not always.
It's a good
but
thing
sometimes.
to check, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that they get a lot of questions about that and people wondering why maybe something's not turning out the way they expected. So
yeah.
I put it in the chat to how to switch it over on your iPhone.
Great, thank you. I'll give folks one more minute to copy those instructions if you need to from the chat box. Okay. our next, let's see, January will be here before we know it, which feels really weird. We are starting our new year of 2-month journeys. And so our January, February journey is habits. And we're still going to have monthly Your Way workshops, though. They'll just be, we'll have 2 different habits topics. Let me see, I have this here. So January's will be creative habits, and then February we'll be talking about batching. Like, how do you batch when you're working on photos, when you're working on layouts? And so kind of a twist on habits. So we'll have 2 conversations, one every month as normal. So it really will be kind of the same, but these are always some of my favorite parts of the month, and I can't wait to welcome you back.
Awesome.
Any questions or final thoughts? All right, have good. I hope you have a great rest of your week and an awesome December and holiday season. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.